Marketing has become one of the most saturated topics on social media, with buzzwords ranging from affiliate marketing, UGC, cold call, cold email, SMMAs. And I mean, rightfully so, there's a big market for that. A lot of people don't know how to advertise themselves or market themselves. But that is only one skill you need to learn, and it's definitely not the first skill you should learn. What you don't realize is marketing is only a useful tool when the value you provide is not the best. If your business offered the best value proposition for the solution that you're trying to solve, customers will naturally gravitate towards you and spread it through word of mouth. Now let's say that in a different way. The best type of marketing is marketing you didn't pay for, aka word of mouth. So your goal is this: make a product that is so good, where after the customer is engaging with it and using it, they sit back and say, someone else has got to know about this. That is gold. So I did some research, all the sources will be in the description, and I came up with this 3-step checklist along with a 4th step for the proper mindset to ensure that you can build a cult following for whatever it is you're selling. And I call it the LMAO. I could probably work on that. The first step is to look around. You need to know the industry that you're in. Now, you may have heard of this if you went to business school, but we're going to be using the Porter's 5 Forces model, which allows us to gauge the strengths and weaknesses of a specific industry. The Porter's 5 Forces are as follows: competitive rivalry, potential for new entrants, supplier power, consumer power, and threat of substitutes. Competitive rivalry comes down to number of competitors, industry growth, exit barriers, and fixed costs. For number of competitors and industry growth, you can look at tools such as Google Trends, Sensor Tower, Morningstar, IBIS World, but perhaps the most slept on and free way of doing market research is looking at company prospectuses when they go public. This information is so valuable that I'm actually going to walk you through how to do this. To start, go to any company's website that is public and in your sector. For this case, I'm going to use NVIDIA. For the case of NVIDIA, if we scroll down to the bottom, under financial info, we'll see SEC filings. That's what we want. Usually every company is going to have this little section called like the filings library, or and there's also a download library for NVIDIA. I don't know what that is. But you want to find the keyword SEC filings because they usually always have them. I think they're actually required. After clicking on that link and you're in the company's filings, it is important to know what we are looking for. What we're looking for is the company's prospectus. This is created only once in its entirety when the company goes public. So keep in mind, the research that was done in that prospectus will only be relevant at the time it was made. So honestly, NVIDIA is not a great case to be doing this on because it's not a recently public company. They've been public since 1997. So if we go to 1997, right here, this is where they went public. Every company needs to file a Form D, a Reg D with the SEC. So a Regulation D is this form you fill out and you send to the SEC with your prospectus. They review everything, make sure all the information is correct to protect investors that you want to sell to. So this essentially lets you sell to the public shares of your stock. Usually in the year that they filed their Reg D, they do not have the prospectus available. If you clicked on these Reg Ds, then it's kind of just like a notice. You're giving the SEC the notice that you want to sell your shares. So what you're really looking for is their S1. This might be filed in the year after. So let's go to 1998, and we can see right here on March 6th of 1998, they have their S1. So let's open this up with Adobe, and you'll see here it's 276 pages long. This is a very long document and explains everything about the business. On the front cover, you usually see the industry that they're going in and the sector and what they're going to be classified once they go public. So at the top here, you can see it's prospectus subject to completion. Now this means that this is a red herring, as you'll see there's no pricing info on the shares. As you can see that this is required under the Securities Act of 1933. And there's no price per share because you cannot put pricing info in your preliminary prospectus. This prospectus was not meant to be mainstreamed. The company is not allowed to estimate their value, and they haven't been underwritten yet technically. And then down below you can see underwriter information and all that kind of stuff. If you're interested in all the information of the company, then they literally map out all the facets of their company. They self-explain themselves, and they pretty much perform a SWOT analysis on themselves. And in this prospectus, they always include their entire business plan, which they spent a lot of time doing, and it's very thorough. So you can actually see their market research aka business. Business is usually the category that the market research is under, but you can also see their risk factors that they have already identified with this company. And this is to protect investors. Investors need to have the whole picture. They can't just see all the rainbows and sparkly glitter on this company because they need to see the grime and the grit. What could go wrong? What is the risk of their investment? So they need to disclose this information. So business is on page 31. Let's see if we can go there. All right, so business. They have an overview of what they do. Then they talk about the industry. And they talk about, what's missing from the industry and how big the industry is. So they talk about the creation of Toy Story and such 3D graphics require over 100 powerful workstations and over 800,000 computer hours to render the film's 114,000 frames. So with each frame or whatever, and it's like the pain point and whatever, and then they provide the solution that they provide. This is gold. This is gold. They're giving you a pain point in the industry and they're giving you their solution that they're proposing. Now, NVIDIA's solution has changed wildly since they first started, but this is still incredible information that you otherwise would not have had. So we can see under industry background that Mercury Research also estimates 8.6 million 3D graphics processors were sold in 1997 and 180 will be sold in 2001. So they have paid millions of dollars for this research from this research company, and now they're releasing it and it's public information. The power that this gives you strategically is insane. So back to competitive rivalry, Exit Barry says how hard it is to liquidate the company after everything is all said and done. So that could be factors such as specialized assets. So a movie theater, think about if a movie theater goes out of business, that building is specifically built to be a theater. It's kind of hard for anything other than a theater to move into that space, which is why if you see a movie theater in a mall, they're really reluctant to kick them out because who else is going to fill the spot? Then there could also be emotional attachment. So like the family business or farming. Then there's also fixed costs, which is rent for warehouses and all that kind of stuff. For the potential of new entrants, does the industry require economies of scale to perform on a cost basis? What about product differentiation? Are there strong established brands? What are the capital requirements? Is it really high? What is the access to distributions like? Is there available shelving space? Think Feastables. And what are the regulations for the industry? Are there a lot of licenses that you have to get? The next force is supplier power. If there's only one supplier that can give you what you need, they can kind of set the prices and that's kind of bad. The next is consumer power. If there's very few consumers, they can kind of pick and choose where they want to buy their product from. So essentially they can pick and choose what price they want to pay for and they can drive prices down. Can a customer find substitutes for an entire sector's service? Which can be based on relative price performance. Think Netflix versus cable. Then we have customer willingness of switching. For that we want to think of iCloud and Google Photos. They have all your information in this one place and it'd be a burden to switch from one to another. Are products being perceived too similar? What's the availability of substitutes? You can combine this analysis with the Pastel model to get a deeper understanding of your industry. A link to that will be in the sources as well. An important note, this should not necessarily determine if you should or shouldn't enter into a specific industry. It's just something to consider. If you're not in industry yet, the most important thing for you to do right now is to get started and then perform the analysis once you're already in an industry. Analysis tools such as these can put you in analysis paralysis and you'll be dancing in circles eternally. Step number 2 on the checklist is the vector. We have to understand where we lie in the industry and where we're positioned so we can make better decisions about where we want to go. To do that, we're going to perform a SWOT analysis on all of our competitors. The SWOT analysis stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Strengths and weaknesses are internal attributes to the company. Opportunities and threats are external environmental factors that could affect the company. Strengths is what does the company do well? What are the most valuable assets? Weaknesses include where does the company struggle? What is the lowest performing products the company produces? Opportunities is what factors and trends could help grow the company. Threats include factors, trends, and regulations that could hurt the company. Using SWOT analysis for your competitors allows you to see where they struggle and where you can kind of slip in. If you can capitalize on the gaps they leave in the market, then you can become very successful very quickly. A SWOT analysis is also an important tool to use on your own company because it allows you to see where you are at right now and where you want to go in the future. That's the vector. But keep in mind, all of these methods for analysis is just a single snapshot in time. These will be outdated within about a week even. So if later on you come to another crossroad where you need to make another decision, you should create a new series of analysis. You should not make assumptions off the old analysis. Step number 3 is to drown the noise. There really isn't a science to business. If you want to study human behavior all day, then be my guest. But what's important is business comes down to someone having a problem that creates cognitive dissonance. And if you're not a psychology nerd, that is the disgruntled feeling that someone gets that drives them to change their situation. And that dissonance has a monetary value. If the cognitive dissonance equals the cost of your solution that removes it, the customer will buy your solution to make them happy, which is utility. The higher your product costs, the more utility it should have proportionally. This is where I'm stopping this in-depth explanation, because a lot of people get caught up in the theory of it because it is a crazy concept to explore. But at the end of the day, we're not scholars, we're entrepreneurs. And it all boils down to this. People will buy goods and services that they will enjoy. This concept is so unbelievably simple that it's baked into the psyche of every single human at birth. So stop consuming content that you think will make you better or teach you another tool or method. You know everything already. These tools that you're trying to learn were just built by scholars to explain the naturally occurring phenomenon of someone wanting to buy something. Absorbing these theories is a bottomless pit and you'll never actually get started. You'll never feel ready. And just remember, you know everything. All these tools and theories that you can possibly learn are just to explain why you, a human with the human psyche, wants to buy something. So the question becomes, how do you test if your solution is something that people would want to buy? And the answer is also very simple. Ask yourself if you would buy your product at the price that you set. Ask a stranger. Ask your friend and family. But when you ask your friends and family, take their response with a grain of salt. They're gonna give you the mom treatment. They're gonna be like, oh, that's really nice, I like that. And they're gonna tell you what you wanna hear. That's not gonna help you. So looking at all the responses that you got, if you got some yeses, chances are a lot of people would buy the product. Because you're only doing this small little test market. There's a lot of people that would buy your product. And in that point, I would probably ship it. It's probably good. It's probably good to start testing it. If you got all no's, however, or people were skeptical or they needed convincing, that's when you should probably start looking at optimizing your value. I would personally maybe look at adding utility or taking down the price. One of the two are not matching up. The value that you're providing need to be greater or equal to the price. Once you have the perceived utility down, that is when you'll start seeing customers willing to buy your product. They don't need convincing. They're like, oh my gosh, this is the best thing ever. I want to buy more. So the bonus step, step 4, moxie. One of the most important skills that you can have as an entrepreneur or even just in life is to think for yourself. Form your own opinions. Have moxie. You need to be able to form your own opinions and not be swayed by what other people think, because that's just going to deter you from your overall goal. A really hard lesson to grasp is that you are the only person you know for sure actually wants you to succeed. As much as you would like to believe that others have this honest yearn for your success, and they maybe tell it to your face, if the situation changed, I'm willing to bet money that their opinions will change too. The only person's thoughts and intentions that you actually have hard data for are your own, and that's an incredible power. I firmly believe if you can confidently go down this checklist and check off each one and say, yes, I can do that, you can easily climb to the 1%. Easily. Matter of fact, one of the biggest takeaways you can take from this channel is you should not be on YouTube for content consumption. You should not be on here to learn tools. You should be on here to conduct competitive analysis or upload your own content. You should not be consuming. If you desire to make it in the world of business, you need to stop consuming and start producing. All the videos on this platform are designed to keep you scrolling and looking for more. They make you feel like you're missing out on this secret technique, like the title and thumbnail of this video. If you've made it this far in the video, you must be pretty serious about becoming a better entrepreneur. So if you'd like to join the group of real entrepreneurs that I'm putting together, you can join the Discord. The link will be in the description. My goal with this is to bring people who are serious about entrepreneurship together so we can learn from each other in a non-consumer environment. I simply want like-minded individuals sharing their thoughts, what they're doing, as well as being able to hold each other accountable so we can all succeed. I would love to hear what you guys are thinking, so please comment your thoughts below. I would love to start seeing some more familiar faces. And if you're feeling extra supportive, the link to my Patreon will be down below so I can keep making videos just like this. If you want to stay up to date with everything that I'm doing, check out my website. I got a Discord. Yeah. Thanks, guys.